CGTN headquarters in Beijing. This is The Hub with Wang Guan.
Hello and welcome to The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing. Starting June the 1st, 2025, China will implement a visa-free policy for citizens from Brazil, Argentina, Chile, Peru, and Uruguay. A major step in strengthening ties with Latin America and the Caribbean. This follows the release of the China-CELAC Joint Action Plan for 2025 through 2027, which outlines broader cooperation in areas such as infrastructure, education, technology, and people-to-people exchanges. With China already the top trading partner for countries such as Brazil, Peru, and Chile, the visa-free policy is expected to bring even closer business and cultural links. But beyond convenience, how will the new visa-free policy further stimulate bilateral political, economic, and trade relations? And how are young people, travelers, scholars, and businesses likely to benefit from all these policies? How does China's continued opening up help strengthen its soft power and give the world a more authentic understanding of the country? To answer all these questions, I'm joined in Shanghai by Jiang Shixue, Director of the Center for Latin American Studies at Shanghai University. We also have Daniel Morales, Associate Professor at School of International Studies at Sun Yat-sen University. Gentlemen, welcome to this program. Professor Jiang, let me ask you first. This policy is unprecedented. It's the first of its kind for China to unilaterally waive a visa requirement for as many of half a dozen Latin American countries. What do you make of the impact of all these gestures and the visa-free policies?
Well, that would be great news for the bilateral relationship. When China applies this policy to these countries in Latin America, that means that will promote better exchanges, people-to-people exchanges between our two sides. I still remember that quite a few years ago, I wanted to go to one of our neighboring country, but my visa was denied because at that time the bilateral relationship between China and that neighboring country was not so good. So you can see that the visa plays a very important role in promoting a mutual understanding as well as political and economic cooperation.
Great. Daniel, let me turn to you. You're from Latin America. What do you think of all these visa-free policies? How do you think they will be received by Latin Americans, particularly citizens from those 5 countries?
Well, thank you for the invitation. I think it's an excellent and really good news for some South American countries. Well, in this case, we have to mention that this policy is for Mercosur countries, obviously except Paraguay, because we have no relations with China. Then we can see here something common, that is Mercosur countries cooperating and now in a closer people-to-people relation with China.
Professor Jiang, so this comes in light of China-CELAC Summit conference, where President Xi attended and delivered a major speech. So this visa-free regime followed that major summit, attended by the presidents of Latin America and the Caribbean. What do you make of the momentum of China-CELAC, cooperation and diplomatic engagement at this point in time?
Well, China's relationship with Latin America has been developing very, very smoothly over the past 2 or 3 decades. At this CELAC ministerial level meeting, we know that both sides published a joint action plan. And out of the many policies out of this joint action plan, I think lots of areas are related to people-to-people exchanges. So I'm very happy that probably mutual understanding through further people-to-people exchanges will be further developed.
Daniel, one question that is asked by many people is that Latin America shares the longest distance with China, right? If you take a flight, there's no such thing as a direct flight. You have to transfer or transit through Spain, Europe, or North America. It would take up to 30 hours, the length of the travel. I mean, to what extent can the visa-free policy work in reality for Latin Americans?
There are many Latin Americans who wants to really visit this country. My parents-in-law were here 2 months ago, and they were amazed with China. But in the Mexican case, it's complicated. Yeah, you have to first take 2 or 3 different planes, and then apply for the Chinese visa. With this new policy, obviously, it is going to increase the visits to China.
Talking about the economic growth, Daniel, let me ask you about this. Brazil just signed a major agreement with China as far as China's trade diversification is concerned, given what's happening in the United States. Of course, tariffs imposed by the Trump administration on China, the tech embargoes, the large commodities embargoes of sorts. China is buying a whole lot from Brazil in terms of soybeans, coffee. Chinese consumers love cherries from Chile and products from Peru, so on and so forth. How do you expect this visa-free policy to benefit traders and businesses on both sides?
Well, I think that certainly for Brazil, for Chile, for Peru, China is now the most important trade partner for these countries. Yeah, but certainly now we can see that Latin American countries are trading with China commodities. Yeah, then the challenge for the coming years is to begin to exchange more industrialized products, and also the investments of China in Latin America in technology, in more advanced sectors, yeah, on one hand. On the other hand, I think this new policy is going to help to open more dialogue between social actors, between businessmen, and this is going to be really, really good for create new opportunities, new business, not only in Latin America, but in China. Yeah, there are many Latin American businessmen interested in investing in China. Then this new policy, I think, is going to be really, really good for both sides, for Latin American countries and Chinese side.
Daniel, let me ask you one more question. China has been doing this for at least 2-3 years, right? Unilateral waiver of a visa for European countries, for ASEAN countries, and now to Latin American countries, a select few of them to be exact. What impact has this opening up had so far? What do you think? I mean, how does China's continued opening up help strengthen its soft power and really give the world a more nuanced understanding of what modern-day China truly is?
Yeah, well, we have to consider that China is so far, super far from some Latin American countries. Imagine the longest distance between two capital cities in the world is Beijing and Buenos Aires. We have to create more opportunities like this one. Yeah, if you don't have direct flights on one hand, and you have to apply for visas, then you don't want to visit China. That is not really useful for soft power, for the Chinese soft power. Then with this new policy and these opportunities, well, I think the first step was done. Yeah, that is free policy, a free visa for some Latin American countries. The next step, in my opinion, is to open new direct flights from South America to China.
This visa-free arrangement comes against the backdrop of the ministerial meeting of China CELAC, where China announced a series of initiatives, 5 key initiatives to be exact, focusing on solidarity, development, civilization, exchanges, peace, and people-to-people connectivity that is announced by President Xi and Latin American leaders. What do you think are the core principles and implementation pathways of all these cooperation agreements?
Well, I think this is the most comprehensive declaration as part of the China Latin American Forum, because it is not only in economics. Yeah, you have here 5 dimensions in the final declaration. The first one is politics, second economics, third one cultural, fourth society, and finally security. Sorry, security, and the last one is society. And the core concepts and the key initiatives is regarding politics is solidarity. That's the core concept. Yeah. The second one in economics is development. Both sides wants to advance in terms of development. In culture, and it's interesting. Now we can listen civilization, the dialogues between civilizations. Here we have two important civilizations trying to communicate and exchange ideas. The fourth, security, is really interesting to see how China wants to cooperate with Latin America in non-traditional security areas. That is not military cooperation. It is specifically in security. That is a big problem in Latin America. And finally, in terms of society, it's a people-to-people connection. And these visas, this new policy, are in that directions. That means we began to see that this new declaration of China CELAC Forum is advancing now.
Now, reindustrialization and modernization are key considerations for many Latin American governments. President Lula of Brazil emphasized again and again about his ambition to reindustrialize Brazil. How can Chinese enterprises and technologies contribute to this this transformation, while fostering inclusive and sustainable development?
Well, China's contribution covers two areas. One is infrastructures. The other is the manufacturing itself. Let me talk about the so-called infrastructures. You know, some years ago, I went to Sao Paulo for a conference. On my way back home, it took me 4 hours to travel from my hotel in downtown to the airport. The traffic jam is just so terrible, you know. And as far as I know, many cities in Latin America suffer greatly from this kind of a poor road system. China's investment in the infrastructure has been making great contributions to the industrialization in this continent, because without infrastructures, you cannot promote manufacturing. And secondly, China's contribution in this manufacturing sector is to put the money to make investment in this sector. You know, if you go to the webpage, if you go to countries in South America, well, some other places, you will see lots of Chinese enterprises. You know, a few years ago, I went to visit a Chinese company called TCL. Their company has made great contributions to the production of basic electricity, basic goods needs. So China has been making investments in the manufacturing sector and the infrastructures. Without China's help, Latin America will suffer more from this kind of a deindustrialization.
Now, Professor Jiang, talking about China CELAC conference that is attended by Chinese President Xi Jinping and Latin American leaders, what do you think are the most important outcome of that meeting and the summits in between?
I think two most successful achievements for this ministerial meeting. First, I think both sides have a deeper and stronger political consensus about what China and Latin America should do at this current stage of the global situation. Secondly, both sides have agreed to announce that they are going to do this and that. And we understand there is a kind of a joint declaration about the joint action plan. This roadmap covers all kinds of areas, like anti-climate change, corruption, investment, innovation, trade, technology, all kinds of areas you can imagine. So I'm very sure that China and Latin America will reap great success stories in the near future.
Now, Professor Jiang, you've been very dedicated to China-Latin American studies. You've been doing research about these bilateral relations as early as since the 1980s, right? More than 40 years ago. What would you want to say to the Latin American viewers who might be watching our program, who might be benefiting also from all these visa-free policies? Why should they come to China?
Well, China is a country with 5,000 years of civilization. So please come. We have great walls. We have the so-called terracotta army in Xi'an. Lots of places to see, okay? And secondly, you can do some shopping, So if you come to China, bring a big empty suitcase, or possibly you might
and an empty stomach because we have a lot of good food.
Yeah, you can buy 2 big empty suitcases, bring them to China, and you will buy lots of things which are comparatively speaking quite cheap. So you can consume, you can use all these kinds of things by yourself, or send as gifts to your friends.
Daniel, what would be your tips and advice for your fellow Latin American folks who wanted to come and travel in China?
I think that this policy is going to facilitate the opportunities for South American people, for these countries. But well, in my suggestions, come China because, as the professor mentioned, now China has an extraordinary infrastructure that is going to help to the mobility inside the country. You will find here extraordinary shopping malls, but beautiful cities and all cities. And now China is developing more museums, more cultural areas where you will find not only business opportunities, also an extraordinary culture and delicious.